I took over as CEO of Linaro in October. I have had a whirlwind couple of months getting up to speed with everything and everyone, and I'm really excited about the size that Linaro's got to and what I think we can achieve and what we've already achieved. I think 2011 is going to be a great year for Linaro, thanks to everybody in this room. And I wanted to share with you some of the subject matter, some of the materials that we went through in the member meeting yesterday and the board meeting. The member meeting was only 4 hours long, so I need to do a little bit of compression. So we'll see how we go. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, and I'd also like to have an opportunity at the end to open up for any discussion if anybody wants to say anything. We're all familiar with Linaro's vision. One of the things that's been really easy in Linaro in talking to everybody in the industry is to express the vision, and everybody agrees that this is a need that Linaro is ideally positioned to solve. We want to accelerate the time to market for products using Linux on our member chips. And our mission, somebody said to me, our mission is to catch up with Intel. Our mission isn't to catch up with Intel. Our mission is to be leaders, right? Long term, our goal is to establish leadership in open source core technology on the ARM architecture. And I think we can do it. We've started. It's going to take time. It's not going to be something that we're going to achieve leadership tomorrow, but that's our goal. And that's what I want everybody to think about. I've also had a lot of discussions with some of you where the question's arisen, what should we do? Whenever you think about what should we do in Linaro, think back to this vision of our goal being to accelerate the time to market, make it easier for companies to build ARM-based products. Right? That's what we're trying to do. All our efforts putting stuff upstream, ultimately, is to make it easier to build products. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a moment. So, what were my first impressions? Wow. Growing from nothing to this in 6 months. And Tom Lanch and Ben Cade did an amazing job in setting up the company, getting everybody together, and growing this so quickly. And props to Kiko as well and the rest of the management team in terms of putting this engineering team together so quickly. And not only that, actually delivering something in October, November last year. That's impressive. So execution is, when you grow this fast, is tough, right? You have to decide what to do, you have to decide what not to do. And there are still some areas we need to work on. This year, we really need to deliver. So those things that seem to be a concern in some ways is how does Linaro really deliver its technology? How do we get people to use our technology? How do we get people to learn about Linaro? We're going to talk about time to market and the support that we're going to provide to make it easier for people to use distributions with Linaro's technology. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the plans we've got this year for product management, for testing, for validation, and for communication of our progress to everybody. So I'm going to focus on several areas. Delivery, upstreaming and evaluation builds, quality and performance in terms of testing and framework, and a little bit about support and what we're going to do about getting longer-term support for our technology into the industry. So I think some of you have seen this slide or something like it. It's changing slightly in the sense that core to delivery of our technology is a focus on upstream investment. Every time we don't upstream something, the next release of anything that happens, we have to go and integrate it again, or our members have to go and integrate it again. So that's core to everything we do. But this cycle of getting stuff upstream back into a distribution and into a manufacturer's hands takes too long at the moment. And so we need to improve this link between Linaro and the distributions. So today we have upstream, working groups and the platform teams are delivering their output into upstream, and distributions and OEMs and ODMs can integrate from the upstream. The landing teams are working with the members' BSP teams to upstream as much of that technology as possible and to help validate what Linaro is doing in that member's hardware. But if I'm a manufacturer, I'm sitting here and I want to build a product, and I've chosen a distribution, and I need to find a tool chain, and I need to find a BSP from the SoC vendor I've chosen. I need to also add some stuff from upstream that hasn't made it into the distributions yet. So I'm going to choose all this stuff, and when I've chosen it, which in a big company takes a long time, I then start this. I have to integrate it all, and it takes a long time. I have to test and validate it, and then I can start adding value and productizing my product. In the Intel world, this gap just doesn't exist, right? You go straight to adding value and building a product. We have to reduce that time. So the problem is that integration of the member SoC, the board support package, the tool chain, the patches, the distribution, it takes too long. It takes months, and it delays time to market. So our proposed solution to this year, and a lot of you have heard about this already, is that we're going to start delivering Linaro technology into the key distributions faster. And the ultimate goal here is not that we spend our lives doing this. The ultimate goal is that distributions will do it themselves. But this is, think of it as a push. Think of it as pushing them to see the value of what we're doing. And this will expand our influence. So our goal is to build formal relationships with the distribution owners. We're already starting this with Canonical. Our goal is to do this with Google and with anybody else who's influential, and to work to integrate Linaro technology and the SoC support into those distribution releases as they create them. Short term, we need to show our value by creating what we're calling evaluation builds. I'm having trouble with my slides today. So, the evaluation builds is part of delivery of our technology. It's not what Linaro is for, it's about how we deliver what we're doing. So what we're doing, a lot of what we're doing is in the working groups. That's where the majority of our resources are. Evaluation builds help us because they help us validate what we're doing, and they help anybody who's using Linaro to see the benefit of Linaro's technology. Initially for 11.05, we're going to be building a version of Android, we're going to be building a version of Ubuntu, we're going to provide a headless version, a base version, and we may do some experimental work on Chrome, depending on the state of Chrome. And these builds are going to be produced by the platform team, which is Alexander's team. So the benefits of these builds are that they'll help demonstrate the output of the working groups. There'll be real-life distributions with Linaro technology in that help us show performance, stability, and testing. It'll help us to understand the problems that manufacturers face when they build products, all about time to market. Simple example, we know we're going to have problems getting agreements to redistribute binary code from our members. If we have that problem, so does a manufacturer. Between us, we'll learn how to solve it and work on cutting down the time to market. Ultimately, these builds are going to serve as a basis for OEM and ODM commercialization. Test code, evaluation builds, they're all very well. People need to build products. The quality of our code needs to be production quality code. It will help the members validate their own silicon and designs, Linaro's technology getting sooner into a distribution. And it will attract the distribution owners to Linaro. Right? So a goal here is, as many of you know, Android is being hugely widely adopted in terms of unit volumes across all our member SoCs. And so if we can become the way that Google works in the industry to get their technology out to all our members, that will be hugely valuable for every one of our members and a huge success for Linaro. And it will attract a wider community audience. It's a lot easier to start with Android on one of our members' boards or Ubuntu on one of our members' boards that you can buy from a distribution outlet and start using it than it is to have to work from scratch and build everything from the upstream. So that's one of the efforts that we're going to put in this year, is we're going to deliver initially on at least one member board for 11.05 for each build for Ubuntu and Android. Our goal is we'd like to have more. By the end of the year, we'd like to be doing this on every member's board all the time. The second thing I want to talk about is quality and performance as an initiative that we want to add into Linaro this year. Obviously, some work went on in the 10.11 release in terms of quality and testing. But it seems to be a gap in open source that generally the people who create open source software don't have access to a lot of hardware resources and a lot of resources to do test and validation. Typically that ends up being done in the SOC member or in the OEM or the ODM. And I can tell you from experience, if you do it when you're at the OEM and the ODM level, and you have a problem that a unit, you build 1,000 units, you put them into a test harness and framework, you test them continuously, and every 24 hours one of those 1,000 units fails. And the crash logs don't help. They're inconsistent. It is virtually impossible to go back and work out why is that problem occurring. It can take months to find that kind of problem. If we, in the open source world, can test our software more effectively at the beginning when we create it, it will have a huge impact on product quality at the end of the day, and it will cut time to market. So I want Linaro to become world-class at showing the way for how open source testing can be done. And we ourselves need to demonstrate to the whole community how good we are. What's the performance of our product? Why are we making power management? What is the actual quantitative improvement in power management and lower power that we're delivering because you use Linaro as opposed to just going your own way? We need to measure system stability over time. So we need improved tools, right? From an engineering perspective, you need to be able to make a change, you need to be able to smoke test, you need to go away and make a cup of coffee. By the time you get back, you need to know, okay, I didn't break the build. It kind of still works, right? You then need to be able to run a full regression test over that change you've made. That could take quite a long time. You may go to sleep for this one and get some sleep. But at the end, when you wake up, you want to know that, okay, I didn't break anything. And we need to do automated testing with real distributions. So what we're going to do this cycle is start, before Kiko freaks out, we're going to start to build our own test and validation framework.
We've already started. We're not freaking
Thank you. Thank you. We have already started. In Cambridge, we have, thanks to Paul Larson's efforts, who's heading up this effort, working for Alexander, we have a baby test farm. And we want to develop this as rapidly as possible. We think it's going to be a huge value within Linaro for all of our members. And the goal here is to create a test and validation farm that over the next year, 18 months, will have 50, 100, 200 member boards and products of various descriptions, all in an automated harness. And you will be able to use those boards for things like simulating, starting up and shutting down, going to sleep, hibernation, coming back out, running actual real web browsing benchmarks on a real distribution, running a test build, and so on. This will be populated by member hardware. Our short-term goals are for 11.05 that we're actually running automated daily builds on a limited number of boards, at least 2 member boards, and we'd like more, and that we'll be running some simple daily benchmarks. By 11.11, by the end of this year, we want to really have developed this. We're going to put a lot of resource into this year. We want automated performance testing, automated stability testing, hardware from every member, and a web dashboard that makes this information, the raw data from this, available to everybody. There is one question that emerged that we addressed yesterday in the members' meeting, that this is going to be a lot of data, right? It's going to be a lot of raw data created by this. Linaro's job is not to publish benchmarks for our members.